logo looks a bit sinister on that building, doesn't it? That's Zesty HQ. So, to be fired up for business, you need to have energy. And if you have energy, you're going to be productive. And energy and productivity is crucial for your business success. To have energy, you need to be healthy. And you have to look after your number one asset, you and your health. So, you need my formula. So my formula is sleep well, plus eat smart, plus move more, plus chill out, equals healthy life, easy way. So if you're living life in the fast lane, or your energy's on the floor, or you feel that you're surviving and not thriving, then you need this formula, otherwise known as my 4 pillars of vitality. So what do I do? I've got 2 companies, well, one's a company and one's a campaign. So I've got Zest Lifestyle and Zestember, which is a health awareness campaign that I've just set up, which is all about inspiring the nation to get healthy, inspiring people to take responsibility for their health. Because my company is called Zest Lifestyle, a lot of people don't remember my name, and it's something called the Baker paradox, that I'm known as the zesty lady. They don't remember my name, but they remember what I do. And people come up to me and go, oh, you're the zest lady. So it's kind of stuck. By the way, that's not my work here. So what do? I help people lower their risks of serious illness and disease. Things like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, and some forms of cancer. So I'm all about lowering the risks, not preventing. And exhibit A here. Does anybody know what this is? This is what 1 pound of human fat looks like. It's not real. It's not my own. Now, for every extra pound of fat we carry above our healthy weight, we increase our risk of diabetes by 4% and heart disease by 4.5%. So I help you look after your number one asset, your health. And it's all to do with my 4 pillars of vitality. So when I'm working with my clients, I'm working with them either one-to-one, or I'm working in small groups in the corporate world. I work with them face-to-face or online. And I've got a lot of clients who start with me through the Eat Smart part of my program. So I have this fantastic weight management program, which is from Germany. It's Germany's #1 weight management program called Metabolic Balance. And we match the composition of people's bodies with the composition of food to give them the healthiest diet for them. So whether or not they want to lose weight, or if they want to put on weight, some people want to put on weight, and it actually helps with health issues as well. And it's something that I do as well, it's the way I eat. So it's absolutely fantastic. So, when I was growing up, I wanted to look like her. I was a child of the 60s. So, if you haven't watched the film Dr. No, that's Ursula Andress as Honey Rider in the film Dr. No. And I was obsessed with her. I wanted to be that woman in that bikini, complete with conch shells and a little dagger in the bikini bottoms. The only problem was, I didn't look like her. I looked like her. Up until 15 years ago. And I was age 37 there. So while you're trying to work out how old I am, I'm nearly 52. So back in those days, I was unfit. I was about 45 pounds heavier than I am now, 4 dress sizes bigger than I am now. I ate crap, smoked like a chimney. I was smoking between 20 to 40 cigarettes a day, drinking like a fish, and I was actually on my way to burnout. And I was working in the telecoms industry as an event manager. I'd also tried dieting for 22 years and discovered that dieting doesn't work. So what made me change? I was in Barcelona on business on a site visit for a conference, and I woke up one morning in this hotel room. I was planned to be there, it wasn't some random thing. And it was after a sort of hard night's drinking. We'd been in the tapas bar, so too much Rioja, too many tapas, too many Ducados cigarettes. And I woke up with my sort of tongue stuck to the top of my mouth. Have you ever had that feeling when you've had a heavy night and you wake up in the morning, it's like, your tongue is like, it's like your mouth is like the bottom of a budgerigars cage. And I got out of bed, and on my way to the bathroom, I caught my reflection in the mirror. And I don't know what it was about this particular mirror, but I kind of stopped and I looked at myself, and I had my OMG WTF moment. So it was, oh my God, what the, insert any F word of your choice there. But I looked at myself and I thought, you're 3 years away from being 40, you're overweight, you're pale, you've got clammy skin, you've got spots, you're really unfit. What have you got to show for your 37 years? Not much. What have you got to show for 22 years of dieting? Not much. And I also began to think about how my parents were aging. My mother had had a heart attack at the age of 65 and then had been diagnosed with leukemia. My father was on blood pressure tablets and God knows what medication. His father had had a heart attack, a fatal heart attack at the age of 55. And my brother's on statins. So things weren't stacking up too well for me, so I thought I better get my crap together in the 3 years until 40. So what did I do? When I got back to the UK, I stopped dieting. I started to eat healthily. I stopped smoking, just managed to give up overnight, and I started to do some kind of fitness. I never did any kind of fitness at all. And I cut my drinking right down, just kept it at weekends. Because I was drinking probably about a bottle of wine every evening just to make myself feel better because I had a stressful day. I deserved it. And it was amazing, just making those basic changes. I felt the difference within 6 weeks. I looked and I felt so much better. And also I became more productive. I was working less hours, and it was just amazing. I had so much more focus. And within 6 months, I'd lost most of my weight. 3 years later, I was inspired to start my own business, and I trained as a personal fitness trainer. I trained in nutrition. I trained in stress management, and also I did some of the head stuff as well, neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy. So let's talk about some of the 4 pillars of vitality. Actually, I'm going to cover 3 this evening. Sleeping. People really underestimate sleep, how important it is. And 30% of your biology happens while you're asleep. And it happens in deep sleep. That's the 20% of your night's sleep. As humans, it actually depends on which research you read, but this is the one I go with. We're actually pre-programmed to sleep between 7 to 9 hours a night. So what happens in that 30% biology? Well, it's when our brain does its download and backup. It's when the free radicals get cleaned up. So those are these cells that cause tissue damage, like tumours. It's where the repairs to your body happen, to the cells, the tissues and organs. And it's also where regulation of certain processes happen, things like blood pressure, metabolism, and hormones. Have most of you heard of the circadian rhythm? Yeah? Okay, for those of you who haven't, it's the 24-hour cycle that nature works by. So it's our hours of night and day. And we're the only species on the planet that messes around with its body clock. Because we have artificial light. We discovered fire, and then we had flaming torches, we had gas lights, and candles, and now we've got electricity. So it enables us to stay awake during times when we should be asleep. So during the summer, we'd be awake longer, and in the winter, we'd go to sleep earlier when it got dark. Another thing we do is we fly. So we fly across time zones and we get jet lag, and that upsets our body clock. So flight crews and cabin crew are continually trying to reset their body clocks the whole time. And it's the same with shift workers. And these guys are probably increasing their risk of what I call all the nasties. So how can you get a better night's sleep? Turn off your tech. Most of you are aware that screens emit a blue light, and what happens is that blue light actually wakes us up, and what it does, it increases or it secretes serotonin, which is the hormone that wakes us up, when it should be the hormone called melatonin that's supposed to make us go to sleep. So try and turn off your tech about an hour or two before bedtime. Also, try and get rid of as much electronic stuff in your bedroom as possible, because it gives off electromagnetic pollution, which disturbs your sleep. So having things like TVs in your bedroom is not so good. And also, those TVs that come up at the bottom of your screen, bottom of your bed, a complete no-no. So your bedroom should be like a cave. It should be dark, it should be cool, and it should be well ventilated. Your bedroom should be for sleep and for learn. Next pillar, eat smart. So what isn't so smart to eat? Well, sugar. Sugar's getting a really bad rap at the moment, and they do say it is addictive as cocaine. So there's my sugar snorting duck there. He's on the table. And we shouldn't actually have more than 6 teaspoons of free sugars per day. So that's anything that's added into our drinks or anything that's in the food that we eat, so added by the consumer or the cook, as well as what's in your packet food. So that's to prevent things like diabetes. Too much wheat isn't too good for us, mainly because of the type of wheat that's grown today compared to 70, 80 years ago. It's got a lot of sort of junk in it to stop, it's got pesticides and all sorts of things in it. And also the products that we buy, which are manufactured, have got lots of junk in them as well, which as humans we're not really supposed to eat. Trans fats as well, so if you like your junk food, your fast food, you're going to find that's been sort of cooked or made with trans fats. So those are hydrogenated vegetable oils, and also processed food is going to contain them as well. So read the labels of the ingredients in food. If it sounds like the contents of a chemistry lab, then you really want to put it in your body. So let's look at what we should be eating. So let's look at some of the indigenous tribes around the world. I've been rehearsing that because I kept saying deciduous. They're eating stuff that's seasonal, so Inuits. So they're eating fish, they're eating animals, they're eating fowl, and they're eating a little bit of vegetation. So they're eating what's around them. It's the same for animals. It's the same. We're the only species that messes around with its body clock, but it's also with our diet as well. Maasai, what do they eat? Well, they farm cattle, so they're eating obviously the meat from the cattle. They also drink a lot of their blood as well from the cattle. Raw milk, and then fruits and plants which are in season. Amazonian Indians, they're eating fish, corn, beans, and bananas. So everybody says that we should be eating the Mediterranean style of diet. And what do they eat? So they're eating things like fish and meat, lots of vegetables and fruit, lots of olive oil, and a little bit of wine as well. So when we're looking about what's around us for us to eat in our environment, we've got things like Waitrose and Sainsbury's. So my rule of thumb is eat food in its most natural form as possible. So eat healthy proteins, as I say, meat, poultry, fish, seafood. Full-fat dairy, do not go for the low-fat stuff, it's full of rubbish. And you'll find it's full of sugar as well. If you kind of take a full-fat version and you take a low-fat version, you'll see it contains a lot more sugar to give it more flavour. Also go for non-dairy, things like sheep's milk products and goat's milk products. Soya, tofu, eggs, nuts and seeds, pulses and lentils and chickpeas and beans, all sorts of things like that. They're packed full of protein. Also fruit. Fruit's really good for us, but don't eat more than 3 pieces of fruit a day. And have an apple a day as well. Apples are really good for you. They're really nutritionally dense. So if you're trying to pack about 10 different types of fruit into a NutriBullet, or you're trying to juice, then you're going to be filling your body full of sugar. And then, of course, lots of vegetables as well. Sweet potatoes are really good for you. They've got the same biological value as apples, so they're going to be excellent for you. So how much should you be eating? There's a really low-tech way of getting your portion sizes right. Most of us have got 2 of these. So your protein should be the palm of your hand without the fingers. Your vegetables should be the volume of 2 fists. Your carb, you've had a lot of carb tonight, should be about the volume of 1 fist or less. And then your fruit portions if you've got 3 pieces of fruit per day, so each piece of fruit should be 1 fifth. Or if it's berries, about the same volume as 1 fifth. If you want to lose weight, don't diet. I tried it for 22 years, it doesn't work. Don't count calories, that doesn't work either. So just eat natural food, that's what works. Drink water. Water's really, really important. We're 78 to 80% water. And 75% of the UK are dehydrated. We don't drink enough water. And water helps us burn fat. It speeds up our metabolism and actually just gives us more energy. So how much water should you be drinking? Well, it should be around 35 millilitres per kilo of body weight. That's about 17 spoons. So for example, someone of my size should be drinking around 2 litres of water a day. Downsize, about 4 litres, double the amount that I have. So things that count as your water allowance are things like herbal teas, fresh mint tea, ginger and lemon, sort of teas like red bush. You can add things to your water like fruit and mint. Beer doesn't count, unfortunately. And things like tea and coffee, you know, your normal builder's tea and coffee, you can't really count that either. I sit on the fence a bit with like the low-calorie squashes and things like that if they're really well diluted, but if they've got like the artificial sugars in, I'm not a huge fan of them. And then the low-calorie fizzy drinks, the diet sodas and things like that, they're not really very good for you at all. And also they can encourage you to put on weight. If you're drinking fruit juice, dilute it right down because it is full of sugar. Moving on to move more. So this is my last pillar I'm going to talk about tonight. So as humans, we're supposed to move between 3 and 5 miles a day. We're actually built to move. So that's around 10,000 steps. So this is where the whole pedometer stepping thing came in. But in reality, this is what's happened to us. So we sit at our computers all day, or else we're driving, or we're sitting in meetings. And as we're built to move, sitting isn't particularly good for us. So for those of us who can, stand up to work. I've got a really standing desk, so I make a lot of this is my high-tech standing desk, sort of my iPad or my wicker basket. But I make all my Skype calls from there. So all my client calls and everything. And I actually worked out one day when I was spending 2 hours on Skype calls, I actually walked half a kilometre by just shuffling around a bit. That's pretty good. Take the stairs when possible. These are my favourite stairs at Paddington Station on the Bakerloo line. And also, how much fitness should we be doing? How much activity? So we should be doing what I call the 3 S's. So that's strength, sweat, and stretch. So if you've been sitting for long periods of time, it's important to stretch to keep your body in alignment. It's important to sweat, to let all the toxins out of your body, and it's important to keep your strength going as well. The World Health Organization recommends that we should be doing 150 minutes of activity per week. And they usually say about 5 times 30 minutes of moderate exercise. So some of that I do walking. Other than that, I do strength-based exercise. I do the high-intensity interval training. I do Tabata. So I do workouts in about 10 to 15 minutes. I don't want to spend hours in the gym. Up until 15 years ago, I never did any kind of exercise at all. So it's, you know, just to do 10 to 15 minutes is enough for me. So I do Tabata. So this is where we're doing 20 seconds of activity, 10 seconds rest, and we're doing it for 4 minutes. I also do yoga, so that's me doing a half headstand. And my sweating I do on my bike, so I've got a static bike. I hate running, I don't run. So what are our barriers to change when we're trying to get into a healthy lifestyle? Usually it's time, don't have time, it's money, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to take some effort. So unless you have the epiphany moment like I had in Barcelona, what I did, it was like all or nothing. So maybe it's about doing some gradual things. So have a plan. And I had this guy come up to me after a talk I did in February this year, actually. And he comes up to me and he goes, oh, he said, you do all the head stuff, you do hypnotherapy, don't you? I went, yeah. He said, wondering if you could hypnotise me. I went, mm-hmm. He said, yeah, could you hypnotise me so that when I eat too much bad food or I don't do enough exercise, that I kind of get a sharp pain that sort of jolts me into being healthy? And I just went, well, you can actually do that yourself. And he went, really? I said, yeah, it's called giving yourself a heart attack. So use tech to keep you healthy. I don't know how many of you have got fitness trackers. I love my Jawbone app. I use it to monitor my sleep, my exercise, the number of steps I do. And then use your phones and your tablets to use the apps, use it for reminders. I've got a reminder on my phone that reminds me to switch off my tech at 9:30 every night. I use apps for meditation. I also use it to organise myself, to make sure that I'm doing my fitness, and also to work in chunks of 15 to 20 minutes so that I'm not sitting down for too long. So to get fired up for business in a healthy way, I can send you a copy of my 30 ways to get more zest. Down here. So it's like 30 easy, low-cost or no-cost tips that you can do and integrate into your daily life. If you want a copy, just either give me a business card or I've got some little forms down here that you can put your name and email address on. Because basically, I want you to live long and prosper. So thank you for listening, and if you want to find out more, then come and chat to me during the break. But thank you very much.